The road to the Final Four can be completed with just one more win today, guys. Welcome back to the College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series featuring the legendary Coach Carter and Fordham Rams basketball. It's been a year of milestones for Coach Carter in season number 5 of his tenure here at Fordham, but episode 62 presents us with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance to clinch a Final Four berth, which sounds ludicrous when we think back to the times of winning 6 games like we did in season 1, but the magic of Kedden Carter continues, and that same magic probably was the reason why we avoided the embarrassment of an all-time collapse against the 1 seed Michigan last episode. We missed 7 free throws in the final minute, blowing a 7-point lead in that time, but somehow the Bronx boys, they picked each other up and bounced back in overtime to preserve the win. Hicks and Hendry, despite the foul trouble, played arguably the best games of their careers against some very tough matchups. We watched the Sweet 16 in the bottom half of our West region as well, where our biggest rivals of the series, George Washington, had the lead for most of the game against the dangerous Kentucky Wildcats. I was hoping for the Revs to pull through because an Elite 8 battle against them would have been absolute cinema. But the Wildcats overcame a big first half deficit to end the careers of Terea Snell, Steph Baptiste, and Zach Gates, 3 of the biggest adversaries to Fordham in this series. So we will be playing the Wildcats, and Kentucky is a team that most people thought deserved a 1 seed, and I completely understand why. They finished the season as the number 2 team in the polls, and their resume is way more impressive than teams like Michigan, who we saw last round. 7 quad 1 wins, a 12-game win streak entering today, the SEC champion in dominant fashion, and when we look at these team stats, these Cats almost look bulletproof. With a top 5 offense in the country, and also a top 5 defense, this squad seems unbeatable. Well, they seemed unbeatable until George Washington showed us it can be done, or at least, being within striking distance as the final minutes tick down. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better shooting team in the nation. Nobody on the squad outside of the leading scorer, Alexi Green, took more than 100 threes this season, but with 4 guys who shot over 40%, they come at you from all angles when it comes to the 3-point line. And the guy who really impressed me last episode was that guy, Dustin Ferris, a 6'11 center who had a field day against George Washington's talented bigs. He's got instincts, athleticism, ball handling, finishing. He's the complete package, and for the 2nd game in a row, Lloyd Hicks will be tested. So back to Phoenix, Arizona we go. Hopefully we leave the desert victorious with that Final Four so close to our grasp. But this might be the toughest test we get all season. But any talk of Fordham having an easy path will be silenced if they can somehow pull it off. George Washington gave us the blueprint to follow on how to hang with this team. Let's finish what our rivals couldn't. From the desert, Wildcats against Rams, and the West Regional Final is underway! As Kentucky will get first rights to the basketball here in the Elite 8. I know George Washington almost beat this team in the Sweet 16, but in the round of 32 against a pretty good Washington team, Kentucky beat them by 36 points in the round of 32, and that's just one of the many blowouts they've had all season. As you saw there, Damian Carter picking up the early foul. Let's see if we can at least get the stop here on the first possession, and Lloyd Hicks with a perfect start. What a block. Hendry to Pat Park in transition. Now that's how you start off a ball game. I had a feeling Pat Park was going to come out against the Wildcats guns a-blazing, considering that he had a really rough game against Michigan, 4 turnovers and 5 missed free throws in that game for Pat Park. But this is how you started off, not only for him personally, but for the team as well. But some early fouls here as Hicks picks up his first, so him and Damian, Damian had some foul trouble against Michigan, but they both have an early foul to their names, and we're not even a minute into this game. Ian Cornell, the inbounder. Kentucky still without a shot on goal so far. Simeon Chase, a tough matchup, 6'9" small forward, gives it off in the pick and roll to Dustin Ferris. And Hicks, wrong place, wrong time for the 6'11" sophomore. And what an embarrassing way to have to hit the bench early as Hicks. Not often we see him get put on a poster and lose inside, but that's what happened there. So now Junior battle with some early minutes, but Damian Carter with the steal here. He's going to take it all the way thanks to the deflection by Kaya Hendry. Kentucky getting forced into some uncharacteristic mistakes here early. They take care of the ball almost better than anybody else in the country, only 7.8 turnovers a game. That's one of the most careful teams in all college basketball, but after a missed free throw, we take it the length of the floor, and Hendry delivers the perfect pocket pass in traffic to Park for already his third field goal, but Simeon Chase proving that he is just as talented as anybody on this team. A 6'9" senior averages 7 points a game, but he's a microwave. He can get real hot real fast. Now 9 minutes to play here in the first half. Chase from the outside with a foot on the line for field goal number 2. And Kentucky holds the lead by 3. A bit of a crazy couple first minutes to open up the Elite Eights. Fordham 12, Kentucky 15. We're going to take a break here and calm things down a little bit. And despite the scrum game that's been playing so far, I think Fordham's handling the tempo and the pressure better. Still no turnovers for them versus 3 early ones from Kentucky. And now Dustin Black checking in, bounce pass to the corner. Nick Jallow, the southpaw for 3. He continues to play awesome off the bench here late in the season. He's made at least 1 3 in each game of the tournament. And he had 2 against Michigan and tries to return the favor here, but Dustin Black's 3 just doesn't rim in that time for him. And Alexi Green on the transition opportunity, up high and down hard by Simeon Chase, who continues to heat up. And sometimes against some of these more talented teams, they just run offense that you can't guard. And poor Damian looked like a deer in the headlights right there in transition. Just no chance to stop that one. 21-18, Simeon Chase leaves Jallow in the dust there, but good help side by Junior Battle, who continues to play big minutes here early on. But Nick Jallow too slow on the rotation, and Chase again is starting to heat up. Got to call timeout. He's just not athletic enough to hold on to him. If Pat Park was having trouble, then Nick Jallow is definitely not the matchup we want. But let's get Pat Park and others back in there as we fall behind by 5. So it's Pat Park, Kai Hendry back in the game, and also surprise face, it's Chen Li for his first minutes here in March Madness this season, and delivers a dime right in off the timeout. A design backdoor play and a beautiful screen there by Junior Battle. So far it's been all hands on deck with no Lloyd Hicks here in the first half. And now Hendry with the deflection, Chen Li with the steal and the assist as Dustin Black absorbs some pretty violent contact there at the rim, but still gets to go on the fast break. Fordham back within 1. 5.5 left to play here. Jess Pinkney, the point guard, setting things up for the Wildcats. Looks like he has a lane out to Najee Gary. No good, and he had room. Chen Li now with a rebound as well. And Pat Park turns on the Jets. No good, but he stays with it. Up again for try number 2. It goes, plus the foul. Just outworking the Kentucky Wildcats here in these last few minutes. And it's rewarded us with a 3-point lead with 4 minutes to play. And now Bennett Pinkala checks back in after Chen Li did a little bit of everything there in those couple minutes. And now after a missed free throw, we continue to run the break for another 3-point play. Bennett Pinkala, what an outlet pass that time. And Dustin Black, who had 6 assists with Damian in foul trouble against Michigan, now has 9 points in the first half against Kentucky. Couldn't get the free throw to go, but man, the senior's stepping up in many different ways this tournament. Still leading by 3. Rotation to Alexi Green. You can't let their leading scorer have that kind of lane, but surprisingly, only his first basket. With 3 minutes to play here. Now a high trap on Pinkala, and Dustin Black finds him on the back door, and then Pat Park slips in. Going high to low that time. Everyone getting in on the fun, whether it be passing, scoring, rebounding, assisting. This is how you attack a talented team like Kentucky. You gotta outwork them, and you gotta play as a team. A timeout by the Wildcats. We're still up by 1, just like George Washington, with the lead for most of the first half. But again, also like George Washington, the Wildcats getting back into this game. Another stop here. Zygus Richards, who gets his 3-point shot blocked. It's Bennett Pinkala with the deflection. And Hendry stopped at the block. Skip pass. Pat Park for 3. 16 points. You want to talk about redemption? He's doing it today. And then a steal, thanks to our full court press. Pinkala with steal number 2 to go along with his 2 blocks. and he hasn't even attempted a field goal today, yet he's been one of the best players out on the floor. Benepin has, making 2 free throws there to put us up by 6. Will Kentucky continue to struggle with turnovers? Will they get the ball up the floor this time? And the experienced senior point guard Jess Pinckney trying to get his group under control. Crossover, and this lane's now closed down upon as Benepin closes it down with the chase down block on the baseline. His 3rd rejection. He is playing out of his mind with no Lloyd Hicks on the floor. Up by 4. 5 seconds to go. A turnover there by Fordham, but it doesn't end up hurting us as the half-court heave is off the mark. What a first half by your Fordham Rams. They find themselves in the lead against one of the best teams in the country, and we've been following the same blueprint that George Washington did. We've been taking the 3-point shot away. They've only attempted 3 on the game, and we forced 7 turnovers as well, which matches the Wildcat season average per game in that category. And to do this without Lloyd Hicks for most of the first half, it's pretty incredible. However, the one facet that is hurting us is not having Lloyd Hicks. Obviously, because in rebounding, we're getting beat 14-8 on the boards, and that's keeping them in the game. They've also spread out their attack pretty nicely with 5 players scoring at least 4 points. As for our guys, got plenty of guys filling in for the loss of Hicks, as Dustin Black, after throwing 6 assists against Michigan, has 9 points in 7 minutes. Pinkala 5 combined blocks and steals. And Pat Park has bounced back in a big way. 16 huge points. We created a game plan after watching Kentucky last episode, and we're executing it to a T. Let's get back in there and clinch this Final Four. Back here in the West Regional Final, Fordham again trying to play spoiler to one of the top teams in the country, but we will begin this half with no Lloyd Hicks and no Pat Park, as they both have 2 fouls in that first half, so trying to be very cautious with them. So Nick Jallo and Junior Battle get the early minutes here in the second half, but as you can see here, again giving up another offensive rebound. This time it's Ian Cornell beating us on the boards. It's his 3rd offensive board of the game, so obviously just not what we want on the boards. So Lloyd Hicks and Dustin Black actually checking in, and not long after it's Pat Park as well. Right now we're just putting the best 5 on the floor for us so far in the first half, and you can already see what kind of an impact it's making. A 3-pointer retakes the lead as Hendry makes his first on 4 attempts. You see the attention that Lloyd Hicks brings on every single possession, and now Kaya Hendry knocks it out of the hands of Alexi Green, who's had a forgettable game today. Almost 5 minutes off the clock, and we're beginning this second half with some authority. Lloyd Hicks finally getting in the scoring column as the mismatch is read by Hendry. Got the ball in there, and Hicks did not miss. Back rim now for Alexi Green. These guys cannot make any threes today. They only shot 3 in the first half, only making 1. And that's kind of continued here in the second half. Just taking the long ball away from this team has been such a huge help. And now having the ability to go back inside the Lloyd Hicks, man, that's going to really help as well. What a bounce pass by Bennett Pinkala, creating the angle to get the ball in there. And Kentucky tried to switch it, but it was just a step too late. 7:25 left to go. Chen Lee getting some more minutes as Lloyd Hicks is back on the bench getting a breather. Junior Battle now getting a double team. What a pass over to Damian Carter, who's been a little quiet today, but he gets the jumper to drop. 6 points for the coach's kid and a 6-point lead for the Fordham Rams, 7 minutes away from potentially clinching the Final Four. Alexi Green, no space there to breathe on the outside. He'll try it from 3, but Damian Carter is in the right place at the right time, and a hop step around the Wildcats' leading scorer makes it 4 unanswered for the coach's kid. Timeout Wildcats. Fordham Rams taking control of this game. An 8-2 run makes it an 8-point game going into this timeout, and Coach Carter looking very pleased on the sideline. We'll be back after this. And out of the timeout, we get a stop again, and now Coach Carter running a 2-guard lineup. Damian Carter and Dustin Black from the baseline. He'll check in but miss, but he's been so good today and overall in this tournament, so it's been hard to keep the senior point guard off the floor. But the Wildcats run pretty much a 3-man weave there to get a big basket to their best player today, Simeon Chase. Now 4 to play now. And now Nick Jallo gives Pat Park a breather, and Lloyd Hicks tries the mid-range. He's been coming better and better over his career at that shot, but that one doesn't go. And Najee Gary with a three-point play. Nick Jallo kind of regressing here in this game. I think he's just a little bit out of his depth when it comes to these talented Kentucky wings. And a huge three-point play by Gary makes it just a three-point game. And now scoring, hitting a bit of a wall here for both teams, and Kai Hendry off a screen will help us out though. That was our first field goal since that last break in the action. And now check this out. Three guys all surrounding Jess Pinckney near the timeline. We get the steal, and Pat Park up high and down hard as he takes it the distance. What a play there. Three Fordham players all attacking the Kentucky Wildcats point guard at the timeline, and he looked completely lost as he looked like he was in the middle of a beehive right there, man. How bad did these Fordham Rams want it? You could see it. You could feel it through the screen. And now under 3 to play, Hendry to Pat Park for a huge shot. It rims in. And Pat Park continues to be unconscious in this one. Time out, Wildcats. Under 3 to play, Fordham with an 8-point lead. Are you kidding me right now? Man, these Rams want that Final Four. So Kentucky does get a key basket there to push the lead down to 7. But our 5 is Dustin Black running with the starters. Right now we're just running with our best 5 today. The senior controlling the ball here. Who is he looking for? Kai Hendry off a screen. Gets Najee Gary up with the pump fake. Dumped down to Pat Park. No good. But it's grabbed by Lloyd Hicks. He puts it in with the three-point play opportunity coming up next. Pat Park takes a tough angle and leaves it short, but Hicks sprints in from the three-point line, grabs it and puts it through. One of the best effort plays you will ever see. And these Rams, man, ever since the Michigan game, they have just turned the intensity and the effort level up a notch. And as you can see, the body language on Kentucky, they know that they are knocking on death's door. Their season is 1 minute away from ending. A minute to play. Simeon Chase tries to go iso ball against Hendry, gets it back off the dribble handoff, gives it off to Najee Gary for a 3. That'll maybe keep the lights on here. Now up by 8 as Dustin Black sprints up the floor but pulls it out, gives it to Hendry and sets up their offense. Now Dustin Black to Lloyd Hicks, who has a guard on him. It's Najee Gary who somehow knocks it out of his hands. That's a huge play. And Gary gives it off to Dustin Ferris. Good job by Dustin Black, just not fouling, just let him go. Don't need a three-point play here. And this game will come down to the free throw line. Now, remember, we missed 7 free throws in the last minute against the Wolverines in the Sweet 16. Have we learned from our mistakes? Well, Dustin Black wasn't out there for the collapse. Maybe he can be the one to get it done this time. No, it's off. It's off the front rim. Cornell with the rebound, and Pinckney up ahead to Najee Gary for 3, but it's off. And now Lloyd Hicks gets it back for Fordham. He'll get fouled, and he was another guy who really struggled. He shot 1 for 7 from the free throw line in that game, but he puts it in the rearview mirror to make the first one. This one to make it 3 possessions. Come on, Hicks. What a story this would be with the bounce back at the charity stripe. He gets it done. 3 possession game. Not enough time for the Wildcats. And Fordham is going to their first Final Four in school history. And Coach Carter, after 50 episodes at UT Martin and over 60 episodes here at Fordham, finally has a chance to coach in the Final Four. This series has seen its tough times. The 6-win team we put out there in Season 1, being on the hot seat early on in the series. The 2 last-second March Madness losses these past 2 years before this one, but it's moments like this that make it all worthwhile. And for the Rams, winners of the West region and just 2 wins away from a national championship, it's time to celebrate. Today was a day of unsung heroes. Obviously, Hicks was MIA in the first half with those 2 fouls, but Pat Park stepped up, but even he had to sit a little bit as well. He got into foul trouble. But guys like Dustin Black, Junior Battle, Bennett Pincala, and even Chen Li were all ready for the call. The effort, the intensity, the unity has all been at an unreal level these last 2 games. This is really the hardest we've seen this team work all series, as Pat Park led all scores today with 23, and the first recruit ever of this series, Dustin Black, the only real senior who plays big minutes on this team, enjoys a heroic game as well. I could not believe how we neutralized the 3-point shot for Kentucky. They shot 1 for 3 in the first half, then 2 for 11 in the second half. Between that and the Wildcats turning it over 11 times, they just never truly got comfortable tonight. An awesome job from A to Z with our game plan. And now you should know what time it is at this point. We're going to scout our 2 possible Final Four opponents as Arizona and Virginia Tech duke it out to try to clinch the East region. And it's been an impressive resume for Arizona. They do have 8 losses on the season, but they played a really tough schedule featuring 19 quad 1 opponents. They're a very balanced team with pretty specialized roles. Top scorer Chase Morales only scores 11.5, but 2 blocks a game. Point guard Nehemiah Dean has excellent vision. 2-guard Rainer Smith is an excellent 2-way guard, so a very specialized team is Arizona. Virginia Tech is extremely guard-centric, a trio of talented guards leading the pack on their side of things. However, they'll be shorthanded. Second leading scorer Edgar Collin will miss the game today after getting injured in their Sweet 16 game, so let's get it started. And as you can tell by the lack of scoring here in the opening minutes, both teams not looking all that great on offense. And even here, look, a near turnover. Both teams looking a little bit nervous of the bright lights. That is until we see Andy Dennis, the top scorer for the Hokies, make a huge 3 there. But even when these teams score early on, it hasn't been all that pretty. But Tech, again on offense, going inside. Leaving it short, though, is Ramon Reeves, their 6'10 center. And now Arizona will get out on the break. And this is the backcourt duo we gotta be very cautious of. Nehemiah Dean throwing the lob to Rainer Smith. I talked about both of them pregame. Arizona with the lead now, 10-9 game here early. Rotated around as this one's knocked through. Arinze Jones for 3. Now Tech back out on top. And how about some tempo trying to beat the press of the Hokies to no avail. Nice check out there by Gino Gadsden underneath. And the Hokies, are they going to try to keep the tempo up, or are they going to go back to a half-court set? Well, this one is dumped down inside. Using his footwork to get 2 is Ramon Reeves. He's their leading shot blocker, a 6'10 sophomore inside, although I think Lloyd Hicks would be easily favorited in that matchup if we were to face the Hokies, as they have a 3-point lead here with under 5 to play in the first half. Now, Nehemiah Dean's been a little quiet, but you know he's going to find his main man, Rainer Smith. This is a very talented Arizona team and a very experienced one as well. 5 seniors in their starting lineup with more upperclassmen off the bench. Now under 4 to play. Hokies up by 1. And how about this step back 3? Absolutely ridiculous by Arinze Jones. He doesn't even start, but he's one of the better 3-point shooters on this Hokies team. Pretty surprised to see that jumper go after the lack of offense seen here in the first half. And now here he is carving up the defense. Arinze Jones has only been on the floor for a couple minutes, but he's proven to be a valuable spark in a game where points have come at a premium. He's got 8 quick ones off the Hokies bench. Arizona, though, will retake the lead with just seconds to play here as they try to toe in for one final stop. But when you got a guy like Andy Dennis, man, it's hard to do just the thing. Bang from 3. Hokies back out on top, and Andy Dennis is one of those shooters that doesn't need a lot of time to get that shot off. You see him, he doesn't even really dip before he releases the ball. So the 5-seed Hokies with a 1-point lead, making 4 threes on the night, but also getting beat bad on the boards. So this is kind of a similar situation to our Kentucky against Fordham game early on, as just we saw moments ago. So now 30-29, still no baskets here in the second half. That is until Rainer Smith continues to rain it down, as he has 11, as he is the top scorer for Arizona so far this game. And here he is with the ball in his hands, commanding the offense, giving up to his teammate at the top of the key. No good, but this has been the Achilles heel of the Hokies all night. This one pulled down and put back in by Kenton Collington, who sees big minutes off the bench. The 6'9 junior with 9 points and 5 rebounds averaged on his junior campaign. And look at this now. Nehemiah Dean for assist number 4 as he gives it up to Collington from 3. All right, let's leave a note down here in our game plan. Let's guard him because now they got bigs that can stretch the floor, so definitely making a note of that. And another one and done possession for Tech as the Wildcats control the boards and kind of control things in transition as well. Rainer Smith, what a catch. And what a find by Nemaya Dean, puts that in just the right spot. As maybe if Andy Dennis was an inch taller, he might have had a chance of stealing that one, but this is such a talented passer and such a talented backcourt from the Wildcats. Starting to take command of things here, and a bad shot there by number 21 on Virginia Tech. No flow, no rhythm to that three-point shot, but some rhythm on the other end, as even whenever they miss, they know where it's going. Rainer Smith, who's been playing his tail off today, he soars over a 6'7" forward and Donatas Mikalauskis. A former walk-on from Lithuania gets beat on the boards by 6'3" Rainer Smith. So yeah, the effort on the boards has been palpable, and now Nemaya Dean with the kill shots. Now up by 9, things looking bleak for the Hokies as they were already shorthanded coming into this game, and you can kind of tell that with the way they're playing. Gilbert Gadsden, who started in place of their injured man, has had a nightmare game, and he misses a gimme right there. And how about this, Rainer Smith? Oh my goodness. Oh man. I wonder if there's a spot open in Jelly Squad or Jelly Fam. You guys remember that from back in the day? What a layup there by Smith. And the Wildcats would take the East region. Final score 65-59. So we will be playing the 2-seed Arizona in the Final Four next episode. And it's funny with guys like Rainer Smith, Ken Collington, and Nemaya Dean, guys I've talked about a lot during the game. It was Helms, Deshaun Helms, with a double-double, and was the player of the game. And that should tell you just how talented and balanced this Arizona team is. So yeah, we're gonna have our work cut out for us. This is a team that plays a lot like us. We're talking bigs that can dominate the glass, guards that can both score and pass, and just an overall team first atmosphere from Arizona. And yeah, so checking off a lot of boxes that sound pretty similar to your Fordham Rams. So just like that, the Final Four of Season 5 is now set in stone. The 2-seed Arizona will play the 4-seed Fordham Rams. And on the other side, you might be able to see them poking their head out on the right side of the screen. But we're going to jump to see the results on that other end. Stanford wins the South after beating the last 1-seed left standing in Louisville 69-67. And Georgia Tech, who's won 2 national titles in this series, albeit not since UT Martin when Coach Carter was there. I believe they haven't won one, but they have returned to the Final Four as a national power, and they've all but cruised their way to the Final Four, winning the Midwest in style and blowout fashion. So a very interesting cast of teams we have in the Final Four this year. No real heavy favorite, but if one thing's for sure, Fordham's probably going to be the underdog out of the last remaining 4. But with no 1-seeds and Georgia Tech being the only title-winning program within this series left standing, the door is wide open for the Rams to shock the world. And we're going to have to find out if we did just that next time on the Coach Carter College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series. We've come a long way, guys, but this is by far the best we've seen these guys play. When we meet them next time, Rams versus Wildcats. Stay tuned for that.